Hey, what is up everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at Ethereum, which is currently down 1.5%. It's down to under $2,500, and we're going to be jumping into exactly where I think Ethereum could be going over the next few days. But before we do so, make sure you guys go check out the Discord down below. You can see on the screen right now just how many trades our members have been winning from simply joining up and starting to copy and paste the trades that we're sending out to them every single day. It's been absolutely insane. So yeah, make sure you join up, start following the trades along. It'll be the very first link in the description. Now back to the video. So Ethereum, if we compare it to Bitcoin, has been significantly underperforming, especially to its previous run that we had in 21. Bitcoin surpassed its all-time high right around November, December of last year, and Ethereum still hasn't gotten anywhere near to its all-time high. We're still, what is this, like 25% away from actually hitting it. So yeah, it's no word of a lie that Ethereum has been underperforming. However, it does also give us an opportunity to buy an underperforming and undervalued asset, which at 1.5k I think at 1.5k in this sort of time of the market, Ethereum was extremely undervalued, and that's why we were picking it up at 1.8k, 1.5k, and now we're up what is that, 55, we were up 60%, nearly 70%. So yeah, it's performing really well now. Apart from that, we've been accumulating obviously lower during the bear market. There hasn't been many other opportunities to accumulate apart from here at 2.2k. We're going to be taking a look at how these major investors are accumulating in the form of the ETF, and luckily we have the charts right here. So the yellow chart on the right, which is what we're going to pay attention to right now before we jump into the daily ETF inflows and outflows, we can see here on the right, the yellow is the price of Ethereum, and then obviously below we have either in green or in red whether it's an inflow or outflow. Now when we try to accumulate, because we're retail and have a lot less money than the institutional investors do, we have to try and pick up Ethereum for a relatively good bargain. We have to try and get the lowest price we possibly can and sell towards the highest price we can. These institutional investors, because they have a lot more money, they're able to sort of do the opposite. They can buy for a bit higher, but they can sell for a bit lower because they don't need as much potential gain. So we can see here that when Ethereum starts to enter an uptrend, that's when we start getting these peaks and troughs of these inflows. However, as soon as Ethereum starts dipping, we can see we also start getting these peaks and troughs of distribution and outflow, and the same happened during this major dip. Obviously we had a few minor outflows, but overall during this entire dip you can see investors were selling off, and sort of the lower we got and the more we started to consolidate, investors started selling off less and less. So during these more volatile times, investors are really looking to sell off. If the market's not in the best position, they're willing to sell off and either buy back at a lower price, which they didn't really get to right now, or they can simply just wait until the market enters a better stage and start buying it back up then, which is similar to what happened. They sold off a majority somewhere around this area right here, which was slightly over 2k, and where did they accumulate? Well, they accumulated just under 2k with these green candles right here. So it was sort of correct in that move. However, if they would have just followed us along, they would have been able to accumulate at 1.8k somewhere around here and 1.5k somewhere around here without the need to sell here and buy here. So yeah, I think they would have performed a lot better just sort of targeting the lows like we did. We hit lows of 1.8k previously and 1.5k previously as well. Now, however, it's good to see that sort of we're getting those inflows back. It's been quite a while since we have had any sort of major inflows happening on Ethereum. The most recent one was right here on the 19th, which was yesterday, and that was for $14 million worth, which isn't that significant in crypto terms. If we zoom in here, which we can't really do so, but you can see it's a very small splodge on the screen, and it doesn't really make that big of an effect. Anywhere from really 5 to 15 million. A lot of retail investors and retail traders trade with those sort of funds. It's just become sort of the crypto norm. There's a lot of crypto degens that are extremely wealthy and rich, and that can afford to gamble or invest or trade with 5, 10, 15, 20 million dollars or USDT, whatever it is that it's worth. So that's another thing to remember. However, if we're just comparing it to the institutions, they usually start to really peak their investments whenever a market really starts trending up. Now on Ethereum's basis, this isn't really a trend up. This is a trend up. You know, for Bitcoin, we're approaching an all-time high. We've completely disregarded the previous lows. For Ethereum, we're still very, very far away from the previous high, let alone the all-time high. So whilst it's not the same story for Ethereum as is for Bitcoin, I still think it will perform relatively well this run, and we've sort of bet on it. You know, we've accumulated at these lower levels that, and we're betting that it's going to hit at least $4,000 again. So yeah, that's what we're hoping for. You know, the sort of top tier target would be 5, 6, 7,000 maybe, but again, Ethereum's not the same coin it was back in 21. We had the metaverse, we had NFTs, we had a few meme coins. You know, Ethereum was really popping up. It was the main coin for that entire saga. For this sort of run, it was all about Solana, and I didn't mean it to rhyme at all, but yeah, Solana was sort of the main contender this run, simply because it was so innovative and just actually able to strategize a lot better. You know, the team, sort of how they did in 21, they saw NFTs were blowing up. What did they do? Boom, Solana NFT marketplace. This sort of run, they saw meme coins start to, you know, perform well, gain popularity. What did they do? Oh, you can now launch really easy meme coins on Solana. So I think Solana has been, you know, just the overall outperformer. If Ethereum is able to sort of, I guess, re-establish itself as a main contender, it may be difficult because again, it's got astronomical fees, wait times for transactions are a bit longer, but I think it's definitely able to come back a bit with its updates. And again, you have to remember Ethereum's the second largest, you know, coin in the entire crypto sphere. Yes, it can be overtaken, but I don't think we can really disregard it, especially in a bull run. Now, a few other coins I'm going to be paying attention to this week include Doge. It's currently at a support level. It'll be interesting to see whether it holds. Other coins include XRP, again, really just consolidating right now, waiting for some news to be released about it. Sui, another coin, really great performer. I really like Sui. The team behind it is amazing. Render is another coin, you know, performing relatively well, just sort of consolidating in an uptrend right now. Polkadot, another coin I quite like. Go back, watch a few videos on that. Solana we've already talked about, Ethereum we've already talked about, and let's quickly take a look at the S&P because it's really just consolidating right now. The week has been super boring. Not much of anything has happened. You know, we opened the week here slightly down, we have came back up, and that's practically it. Not much has happened. You know, Trump hasn't released any major news, which I think the market is sort of anticipating because that's why we're consolidating. Until he does, I think we're just gonna sort of see the same thing happen, you know, for the remainder of the week. Now, if you did enjoy the video, please do make sure to like and subscribe. And again, if you want to be getting my trades every single day, then check out the Discord down below. It'll be the very first link in the description. If you need a place to buy, sell, or trade cryptocurrency with the lowest fees with the best sign-up bonuses, then check out all the exchanges we're working with down below. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye, guys.